This next chapter we'll be dealing with orientation constraints and wire parameters. We'll be using orientation constraints to constrain the spinal column to the four control objects so that we get that nice twist-off action that we were looking at. We'll be using wire parameters to help us get a little bit of extra twist from the tailbone up into the lower back. So to start with, let's do something that is the simple side of it, which is just the tailbone and the orientation constraint. If you notice that the control object is aligned, like we did in the previous chapter, to the bone. So we're going to pick the tailbone, go to Animation, Constraints, Orientation Constraint. The dotted line shows us that we're looking for another object to constrain to. Then we're going to select the control object for the tailbone. The motion panel opens, showing us the orientation constraint that has been added. What has actually happened is for the bone is when you add an orientation constraint or other controllers from the animation list, it builds a list controller retaining the original controller that was on the object and adds the new one to it. This is the same as the way we are zeroing out controls. Orientation constraint, however, basically takes control over any previous controllers ahead of it in the list. In this case, it's only added one target object to the controller. It doesn't matter what the weight currently states, it's 100%. You need more than one controller in the list to be able to weight it between multiple objects. You have choice of local or world. World is what you want 99% of the time. World basically means that it's working on a world orientation. As this object rotates in world space, this one will follow and do exactly the same. Keep initial offset we'll need for further bones, and you'll see how that works. Right now it doesn't do anything different. Let's move up into the lumbar area. We'll start with the first bone. This one's going to be, for now, orientation constrained 100% to the waist control. Again, I'm going to select orientation constraint, pick the waist control, and now you can see that that control controls the upper spine 100%. The next two bones will actually share a bit of rotation between these two so that we get that twist-off effect. I'm going to start making it a little bit easier. I have added my constraint system to my quad menu. I'm going to pick it out of here. You'll see why in a minute. It's going to make it a lot faster to work with. Orientation constrain it. I'm going to orientation constrain it to the waist control. And if you notice, the bone system moved just that little bit. This is where keep initial offset comes in. If I turn on keep initial offset, you'll see it move back. This is because this bone isn't completely aligned to this control object. And when I said you were going to be orientated to this 100%, it automatically pops the world space of this object. Keep initial offset moves it back. We're now going to constrain it off to the shoulder control as well. From the quad menu, I don't have to go up through the menu system anymore. I can just pick right on the name bar, and it'll pick the last used item in that quad system. Pick the control object in the chest, and now I can set up weights between these two. This bottom one is going to have most of the control. We're going to set the bottom control to 66.5. We're going to set the shoulder control to 33.5. Now you can see that when I rotate this object, the next bone in the chain doesn't rotate 100% with this control. When I rotate this one, it doesn't rotate 100% with this control either. It shares a bit of twist off. Let's move on up the chain to the next joint. Constrain to the waist control. Keep initial offset. Set the value this time the other way around, 33.5 to the bottom one, and 66.5 to the top. And we're starting to get that nice twist off